The idea that INFJs seem to grow younger with age is not about physical age reversal, but rather about the remarkable way their personality unfolds over time. It is tied to how their inner world matures, how their experiences refine them, and how their outlook on life becomes lighter, freer, and more radiant as they grow older. When most people expect the passing years to bring a decline in joy, wonder, and creativity, INFJs often surprise others by embodying more childlike enthusiasm, freshness, and vibrancy the older they become. This paradox comes from the way they live deeply, reflect constantly, and gradually shed the burdens of expectation and conformity that weighed them down in their earlier years. During their younger years, many INFJs often carry themselves with an unusual seriousness. They are known for being old souls, wise beyond their years, and deeply attuned to the struggles and pain of others. Because of their ability to sense underlying truths and their tendency to think about the big picture of life, they can appear older than their age, both in attitude and in presence. But this wisdom, while beautiful, can also make them heavy, as if they are carrying the world on their shoulders before they have even lived much of it. Their early years are often marked by internal battles, struggling with their sense of identity, trying to reconcile their ideals with reality, and learning how to exist in a world that often feels loud, harsh, and shallow to their sensitive nature. If you want to truly understand yourself and unlock your full potential as an INFJ, check out the INFJ Growth Mastery course today. The link is in the description of this video. As they grow older, however, something remarkable happens. INFJs start to accept the truth that they cannot save everyone, and they begin to let go of the overwhelming sense of responsibility that weighed them down. With time, they become more attuned to their own needs and desires. They learn that living authentically is not selfish, but necessary. This shift allows them to experience life in a freer and more playful way. What once felt like an endless duty to be strong and wise becomes balanced with a renewed permission to be curious, silly, adventurous, and lighthearted. This is where their youthful energy begins to emerge in a striking way. Another reason INFJs seem to grow younger with age is their relationship with time and meaning. In their younger years, INFJs often feel like outsiders, trying to fit into molds that never quite suit them. They may repress parts of themselves in order to survive socially or professionally, but this repression dulls their inner sparkle. As the years pass, they become more courageous in embracing who they truly are, unmasking their eccentricities and quirks that they once hid. In doing so, they unlock a more natural, childlike spirit that was always there but buried under layers of fear and self-protection. The more they accept their uniqueness, the more radiant they become, and others often notice that they seem to glow with vitality, no matter their age. INFJs also thrive on creativity and imagination, both of which act like fountains of youth. They often have vivid inner worlds filled with stories, dreams, and visions that never lose their freshness. As they grow older and gain confidence, they stop hiding these worlds and begin to channel them into art, writing, teaching, or simply the way they live day to day. Engaging with this creative spirit infuses their lives with color and playfulness, making them seem younger than people who have surrendered their imaginations to monotony and routine. Instead of growing stiff and rigid with age, INFJs often become more fluid, spontaneous, and curious, almost like children rediscovering the joy of simple wonders. There is also the matter of emotional healing. INFJs are naturally prone to deep empathy, which means they absorb the pain of others. In their youth, this can weigh heavily on them, causing them to feel prematurely aged by sorrow. Over time, however, they learn boundaries. They discover that compassion does not mean sacrificing their own well-being. Through healing and personal growth, INFJs release a great deal of stored emotional weight, and with that release comes an almost visible lightness. It is as if the shadows in their eyes lift, replaced by a spark that makes them appear brighter and more alive than before. Emotional resilience, once cultivated, often radiates as youthfulness. Spirituality plays a role as well. INFJs are naturally drawn to questions of purpose, meaning, and transcendence. As they age, They often develop a sense of peace and alignment with life's mysteries. Instead of struggling against what they cannot control, they learn to flow with it. This acceptance brings serenity, but also joy, a joy that feels innocent and youthful, as if they have finally found their way back to the pure essence of living. This shift in perspective makes them laugh more easily, savor the present moment, and engage with people and experiences with openness rather than guardedness. Such qualities make them appear younger, not just in spirit, but often in appearance too. Relationships also shape this transformation. When INFJs surround themselves with people who truly understand and accept them, they flourish. Love, trust, and authenticity act as nourishment to their soul. Unlike in youth, when they may have settled for shallow or unfulfilling connections, in maturity, they tend to attract deeper bonds that honor who they are. This emotional fulfillment often translates into vitality. Being seen and appreciated allows them to express themselves fully, which brings out a glow that makes them seem ageless. Another reason INFJs grow younger with age lies in their refusal to give up on wonder. Many people, as they grow older, become jaded, cynical, and resigned to life's difficulties. INFJs, however, often do the opposite. Their inner idealism remains intact, though tempered by experience. They continue to search for beauty, meaning, and authenticity, even when life has given them reasons to stop believing. This pursuit of wonder fuels a sense of childlike awe, whether in nature, art, or human connection. It keeps them vibrant, and people around them often sense that energy as something rare and refreshing. It's quite fascinating. INFJs may start out in life appearing older than they are, carrying wisdom and seriousness early on, but as the years pass, they layers, peeling away the masks and burdens until what remains is the essence of who they always were: imaginative, compassionate, curious, and full of light. Instead of hardening with time, they soften. Instead of becoming rigid, they become flexible. Instead of losing their sense of wonder, they cultivate it. This reversal makes them appear as if they are aging backward, glowing with a timeless energy that inspires those around them. One of the most profound reasons for this youthful bloom is the INFJ's ability to transform suffering into wisdom without letting it corrode their essence. While many grow hardened by disappointments, INFJs treat their hardships as lessons and as fuel for deeper compassion. With each challenge, they expand their perspective, and instead of letting bitterness take root, they channel their pain into growth. This alchemy of turning wounds into light means that as they grow older, they carry less bitterness and more joy, less heaviness and more grace. That inner lightness translates outwardly, creating the impression of someone who is younger than their years would suggest. Creativity also makes them grow younger with age. INFJs who once kept their creative passions hidden often discover later in life that self-expression is not just an indulgence, but a necessity. They might write, paint, teach, sing, or even live creatively through the way they design their homes, the way they engage in conversations, or the way they pursue their dreams. Engaging fully in these pursuits makes them playful and imaginative, qualities usually associated with youth. The irony is that these qualities, once tucked away due to self-consciousness or fear of judgment, become liberated later in life, making the INFJ glow with the vibrancy of someone who never lost touch with wonder. There is also a spiritual component that gives INFJs this ageless aura. With age, many INFJs reach a place where they trust life more deeply. They realize they cannot control everything, and instead of resisting this truth, they surrender to it with grace. This surrender does not make them passive, but it allows them to live with less anxiety about the future and less regret about the past. They live in the present moment with a kind of sacred attentiveness, savoring details like the warmth of sunlight, the sound of laughter, or the beauty of an ordinary day. Such presence radiates a purity of spirit that others often mistake for youthfulness, because it mirrors the way children experience life, fully and without pretense. What is most striking is that INFJs rarely lose their sense of hope. Even when life has tested them, even when they have endured loss, betrayal, or exhaustion, they tend to hold on to a quiet, unshakable belief that beauty and goodness are still possible. This hopefulness is not naive. It is tempered by realism. But because they refuse to let hope die, their energy remains vibrant. A hopeful person naturally appears more youthful, because hope softens the face, relaxes the body, and brightens the eyes. For INFJs, this quality often becomes stronger with age, not weaker. Another subtle yet powerful reason INFJs appear younger over time is the way they care for others. While this empathy once drained them, as they mature, they learn how to give without self-destruction. They set boundaries, but they also allow love to flow freely in ways that enrich rather than deplete them. This kind of loving energy keeps them warm, approachable, and alive, as though their very presence could breathe life into a room. People gravitate to them not only for wisdom, but for the uplifting vitality they exude, which is paradoxical because one might expect wisdom to feel heavy, not light. But for the INFJ, wisdom lightens, and that lightness radiates outward. It is important to note that this growing younger is not about denying age or pretending to be what they are not. INFJs do not need to mimic youth, because they embody a timeless energy that makes age almost irrelevant. Wrinkles, gray hair, or the marks of time do not diminish this quality. In fact, these outer signs of aging often stand in contrast to the bright vitality in their eyes and spirit, which makes them even more striking. People around them often remark that the older they get, the more beautiful and vibrant they seem, as though time itself conspires to reveal rather than conceal their essence. INFJs grow younger with age because they live in reverse of what most people do. They shed heaviness instead of acquiring it. They embrace joy instead of surrendering it. They deepen their creativity, spirituality, and authenticity instead of letting those gifts wither away. And because of this, they embody a timelessness that makes them appear ageless, glowing with a spirit that feels as fresh as a spring morning, even when the years would suggest otherwise. To those who witness it, the transformation of an INFJ over time is nothing short of fascinating. Friends, family, and partners often remark that while most people seem to grow weary and rigid with the passing years, INFJs become softer, brighter, and more alive. It can even feel disorienting for those who have known them a long time. Children especially notice this quality. To a child, the INFJ elder often feels like a safe playmate, someone who can enter their world with genuine curiosity and imagination. INFJs are able to see life through a child's eyes without condescension, and this makes them feel youthful in spirit. They tell stories with wonder, they entertain daydreams, and they find joy in the simplest pleasures. The older they get, the more childlike their interactions can become, not childish, but filled with that same sense of freedom and possibility that children thrive on. This is why INFJ grandparents or mentors often appear younger than their peers. They refuse to let go of that innocent delight that keeps them engaged with life. Romantic partners often describe a similar paradox. In the early stages of life, INFJs can feel heavy to love because they are so serious and deeply concerned with meaning, responsibility, and doing things right. But as they evolve, they shed much of this heaviness, leaving behind a partner who is easier to laugh with, easier to enjoy the present moment with, and more adventurous. Their relationships gain a freshness because INFJs learn that joy and love are just as sacred as duty and wisdom. Partners often feel that they are not just aging with the INFJ, but rediscovering youth alongside them. Colleagues and acquaintances notice it too, though perhaps in subtler ways. An INFJ who once felt quietly burdened at work may later come across as surprisingly buoyant and approachable. They often become the ones who lighten the mood in a room, not with superficial jokes, but with a genuine ease that makes people feel comfortable. Where once they might have carried an aura of intensity that intimidated others, they now exude warmth and calmness, making them seem ageless and approachable. This shift is a direct reflection of their inward journey towards self-acceptance and peace. The physical reflection of this inner transformation is often undeniable. People around INFJs notice how their faces seem to soften with age rather than harden. Lines that appear from laughter and smiles only add to their glow, while the spark in their eyes remains striking. Their body language becomes freer, less tense, and more graceful. It is as though shedding emotional burdens has also lifted physical ones, leaving behind someone whose presence feels lighter and more radiant. While others may shrink under the weight of years, INFJs expand into them, inhabiting their bodies with renewed confidence and ease. This quality of growing younger with age makes INFJs natural sources of inspiration. In classrooms, workplaces, or spiritual spaces, INFJs are often seen as mentors who are relatable rather than distant. Their guidance carries weight because of their life experience, but it is delivered with a freshness that does not make others feel lectured or diminished. Instead, they share wisdom in ways that feel inviting and encouraging, as though they are walking alongside others rather than towering above them. This balance is rare and is one of the reasons people perceive them as timeless. Another way people perceive this youthful energy is through the INFJ's adaptability. Unlike those who cling to the past or resist change, INFJs often embrace new ideas, technologies, and cultural shifts with curiosity. They are not bound to nostalgia or rigid traditions, even though they respect and honor history. This adaptability makes them seem younger than peers who have closed themselves off from the evolving world. They are capable of having meaningful conversations with people decades younger than themselves, not by forcing relevance, but by genuinely connecting to the pulse of the present moment. This creates a social image of someone who is agelessly engaged, able to walk seamlessly between the wisdom of the past and the possibilities of the future. What people often struggles to name, but instinctively feels about INFJs, is the sense that they have tapped into something deeper than age. Their authenticity radiates as timelessness. Their presence feels both grounding and refreshing. People find themselves drawn to INFJs not just for companionship or guidance, but because being around them makes life feel lighter, more hopeful, and more alive. In a culture that often fears aging, the INFJ becomes a living example of how age can actually bring greater joy, freedom, and vitality. If you want to truly understand yourself and unlock your full potential as an INFJ, check out the INFJ Growth Mastery course today. The link is in the description of this video.